Magistracy of Canopus, System Bass, City, Nortown, July 6th, 3102. Braxton Nix couldn't explain why he enjoyed kicking the cars so much. Honestly, it did seem kind of petty and dumb when he thought about it, which wasn't often. Maybe it was something about how his awesome's foot was able to send them spiraling through the thoroughfares and into buildings. It was almost a dance as their wrecked frames flew through the air. After punting the light truck through the front of what used to be a corner shop but was now a prolific insurance claim, Nix looked over at his scanners and realized that the rest of his lance had left him behind. Figures I'd get caught up in the fun. Nice of them to let me know they're bailing. Nix growled to himself as he began to slow walk his awesome 8Q down the street toward the landing zone. The rated success by any measure, and when he gets back to the jump ship, there was likely going to be at least one bag full of future drinks and entertainment waiting for him. The ancient Battlemech took lumbering steps, which cracked the thin ferrocrete sheet with a satisfying crunch. Up in the cockpit, the slight give gave the impression of walking on a sandy beach. Nix let his mind wander again. His mind was brought instantly back into focus when a blue light bathed his cockpit for a fraction of a second before the viewport dimmed to compensate. The mech shuddered, and Nix felt a rush of adrenaline along with the flood of electrical interference across his console. Turning to face the source of the fire, Nix peered into the side of a brick and steel apartment building. There were dozens of open windows, and each of them could have been the source of the fire. As Nix brought his mech's arms up to fire, 2 more beams of blue light flashed out across his mech's head and shoulders, along with the telltale thud of a recoilless rifle shot. Up on the roof stood 2 armored soldiers wearing green and purple. Nix only saw them for a fraction of a second before they retreated behind the edge of the rooftop and out of sight. The Mechwarrior growled again and fired 2 particle projection cannon shots into the side of the apartment building. The mech-scaled artificial lightning ripped into the structure, cutting through steel beams and rendering brick into burning slag. The whole building seemed to hang in the air in defiance of gravity for a moment, before the structure collapsed in on a gigantic plume of dust and smoke. "Friggin' infantry! Don't mess with a Battlemech!" Nix smiled wickedly as he waited for the dust to clear. He began to step his mech to the side and forward again to resume his march toward the LZ. Pulling up his crew on the comlink, he spoke with a laugh. "Ha! You guys should have seen me take this building down with some militia in it. I bet they enjoyed the free ride." The joy Nix felt from the mayhem he caused was short-lived. When he stepped the awesome from the plume of dust, he immediately saw 2 more battle-armored infantry standing on opposite buildings on each side of the street. They fired before he could react, and the mech's shoulders, center torso, and cockpit were once again hit with the support PPC fire. "Enough of this! If they want some fire, I can give them fire," Nix said as he split his shots and fired 2 PPC shots, one at each source of the incoming fire. 1 particle projection beam streaked off into the sky, but the other one cut deeply into the office building, which vaporized much of the top 2 floors, shattering glass across much of the rest. Glancing down at his console as he fired a 3rd shot a few moments later, he could see that the damage on his mech was light, but adding up. He had to put these gnats down quickly. The heat in his mech's cockpit was rising quickly, and he had to wait on his next PPC shot. He pushed the mech forward, heading toward the clearing promised by a downtown park. There he would have a better chance of spotting the infantry before they fired. Reaching the T in the street, the awesome stepped out onto the green grass. Expecting to see the battle-armored soldiers trailing behind, he quickly turned to face whatever threat might come. The Mechwarrior didn't immediately notice the nearby access hatch opening near the park's maintenance buildings. The 2 squads of Magistracy Cavaliers crawled out and took cover before advancing quickly on the mech as it continued to scan the buildings ahead of it. By the time Nix saw the signatures of the infantry, they were already at his feet, either crawling up onto his mech's left leg or firing up at the knee joint. His console began to flash yellow, then red, even as he stepped his mech backwards and frantically fired toward the ground. 1 shot, then 2, then a 3rd as his cockpit flooded with new heat. Just when Nix thought he had a bead on one of them, it would leap up into the air on jump jets, and the PPC shot would miss by what felt like a kilometer. Operating on a mixture of adrenaline and panic, the bandit didn't have time to call for help. The left leg sheared off at the knee under concentrated support PPC fire. The 80-ton mech groaned and then slowly fell backward, crashing down on a grove of fruit trees in their early June bloom. Nix groaned, and then every muscle in his body felt like it was on fire. Opening his eyes, his vision was tinted red, and all he could see through the viewport was the sky. "Stupid friggin' battle armor!" he grunted again, reaching down to his hip to pull out his revolver. It was barely out of the holster when the shadows fell on him. He looked up at the helmeted faces of the 3 infantry that were looking back down at him. He tugged at the straps holding him into the command couch with one hand while raising the revolver with the other. 10 seconds later, after fire, fury, shattering view screen glass, and a couple of revolver shots, it was over. And we're back. Hey, every time we do a battle armor video, people demand more, so let's just keep going. Today I picked a few that fit a regional theme that's probably obvious from the thumbnail, but if not, you will likely pick up on it pretty quick. The unique designs we're going to tackle are sure to make you put on your commander hat to ponder how you could use them to your advantage on the battlefield. Today we're going to look at the specialized battle armor from the Capellan Confederation and the Magistracy of Canopus. And our first entry is the star of our little story. The Amazon battle armor is a medium weight class design with a max weight of 1,000 kilograms. Its sleek and angled design shows just how far Inner Sphere designers have come from the early days of the boxy standard Inner Sphere battle armor. The Amazon is the latest development of a long string of advances that shows that the Inner Sphere is getting increasingly close to the clans in their battlesuit research. While designed for easy first-time pilots to use, the Amazon offers plenty of opportunity for mastery. Fox Infantry Systems has gone all out in producing a reliable armor system that has what battlefield commanders have come to expect. Run speed is typical for a medium battle armor, yet the 150 kilogram jump pack can carry the user up to 90 meters. If you're watching the other battle armor videos, you'll know that I'm a big fan of jump jets on battle armor, consider them near essential unless there's a very good reason to go without. The left arm battle claw is utilitarian, and the armor protection is standard for a medium chassis. The modular weapons mount can carry either a medium recoilless rifle with 20 shots or a support PPC with 15. Either way, that's a considerable punch against other infantry, light vehicles, and even the occasional Battlemech. The dramatized events of the Bass pirate raid are just a taste of the success that the Amazon battle armor has seen in the field. When the planet Sirdar was raided in 3110, Capellan soldiers using the Amazon armor were able to best Federated Sun soldiers in standard Inner Sphere gear. In a scene you might expect right out of a holovid, the Capellan troops were airdropped into an ongoing close-quarters fight between the AFFS Cavaliers and a lance of House Liao light battlemechs. In what turned into an intense brawl, the Amazon units demonstrated their ability to protect the user as well as dish out considerable damage. The recoilless rifles were able to punch through the AFFS armor, and eventually the Cavaliers were forced to retreat. The surviving Capellans pushed their advantage into a counterattack with the now mixed arms force. The mechs provided support while the Amazons swarmed toward the AFFS mechs. Clambering over the commander's blackjack, the battle-armored soldiers were able to shoot and tear their way through the thin armor of the medium mech and detonate the ammo inside. Though the resulting explosion cost the swarming soldiers their lives, it allowed the rest of the Capellan lance and surviving Amazon soldiers to escape and fight another day. It's very likely that units going up against the Capellan or Magistracy forces in the near future will see the Amazon. They must be factored into the battle plans. Personally, I think the sleek design is just enough to make it look like something the Magistracy would embrace, but not so much that it becomes hard to suspend disbelief. I give it 8 out of 10 Gauss rifle slugs. Our next example of battle armor is produced by the Hellespont Industrial Factories on Xi'an. The Shen Long is a heavyweight class battle armor built on a quad-legged chassis. Designed to be a flexible platform that can quickly deliver mech-grade weapons onto the battlefield, the Shen Long has outperformed expectations. The name itself, Shen Long, means Storm Dragon, and it has proved fitting as this battle armor is one of the fastest designs across the entirety of the Inner Sphere. Though it isn't equipped with jump jets, the ability to keep up with mechs guarantees that the Shen Long will not be left in the dust. Once it's in the fight, the ability to field a wide variety of weapons makes the Shen Long an unpredictable opponent. The modular turret mount on top of the armor can carry 4 David Light Gauss rifles with 15 shots each, 4 machine guns, a medium-range missile launcher 5 with 4 shots, a short-range missile launcher 4 with 4 shots, 2 flamers along with an ECM suite, or 2 heavy grenade launchers with 20 rounds apiece along with a pop-up mine. That's a lot of different options for all your battlefield needs. It's very likely that any time the Shen Longs are used in squads and platoons, there will be a variety of configurations found within them. A squad that includes the missile launchers and at least one unit carrying the ECM could be the cause of some serious issues for a battlemech, armor, or a targeted installation. If there's one drawback to the loadout possibilities, it's that the designs are all ammo dependent, which underlines the need for strong logistics network to support the Shen Longs in the field. During the Federated Sun's assault on Menke in the first wave of the Victoria War, with Duchess Hassek's forces making rapid strikes against Capellan holdings, the Shen Longs were brought into play. A company of Liao battle-armored infantry from the Menke Home Guard used the urban terrain to their advantage to lay traps and set up ambushes for the advancing Davion forces. The under-supported lance of Davion mechs was harassed with missiles and machine gun fire at close range, only to turn and see the targets run off into alleyways and behind cover. Eventually, the lance walked into a minefield prepared by the House Liao forces, which stopped the mechs in their tracks and made them perfect targets for incoming fire. Platoons of Foshi battle armor quickly set out mines behind the lance and worked with a squad of ECM interdictors. The Shen Longs, equipped with medium-range missiles, showered the trapped mechs with high explosive. All 4 mechs were seriously damaged before they were able to break out of the ambush. One of them, a warlord, lost its leg and ended up being taken out of the fight completely. While the other planets included in the first wave of Hassek's invasion were taken quickly, the fight for Menke was dragged out by its stubborn defenders. Eventually, 2 regiments of Mechwarrion's armored cavalry landed and assisted in finally punting the Federated Sun soldiers off the planet. The successful implementation of the Shen Long contributed, if just in a small part, to that overall victory. Within the Magistracy of Canopus armed forces, the Shen Long has a very good reputation. Being placed within a unit of the battle armor is a prestigious posting, even when these units also suffer a high casualty rate in comparison to standard infantry. I suspect it might have something to do with the armor's resemblance to a feline. Our next to last entry today is the older battle armor design from the perspective of the Ilklan era, but it can still be consistently found in both the Capellan and Magistracy units. The Foshi is a medium-class bipedal design that is built primarily around its mine-laying and mine-detecting systems. As we previously mentioned in the Battle of Menke, the use of mines is a powerful tool for soldiers who wish to hobble or at least direct enemy armor and battlemechs. The Foshi deploys its mines by using its jump jets to hover over an area to deploy a canister filled with field artillery scatterable mines, or FASCAM. At the predetermined height, the canister opens and spreads the mines out over a wide area. Roughly a 30-meter radius is typical. The small mines fall to the ground where they either arm on the surface or dig into the ground if it's soft enough. The mines can be detonated through proximity, contact, or even by the Foshi if it's close enough to send the command remotely. Manufactured by Ceres Metals, Hellespont Industrials on Capella and Cian, the Foshi is jump capable at 90 meters, has a modular weapons mount for light weaponry like a small laser machine gun flamer or even a light tag. In the right arm, there's an anti-personnel weapon mount. Armor protection's a little lighter than one would expect from a medium battle armor, but the Foshi is not intended for frontline use. It's much better off sneaking and jumping behind enemy lines to lay down mines in strategic locations. Additionally, the armor is equipped with magnetic clamps so that it can ride into battle on tanks and battlemechs. There's a variant that removes the Foshi's mine equipment and replaces it with a plasma rifle or a King David Gauss rifle, but this is not common as other medium armor designs fit that role more effectively. During the Capellan reunification war against the St. Ives Compact, the Foshi was used successfully on light vehicles like the Blizzard hover tank and the Po-2 heavy tank. Leaping from moving vehicles, the Foshi were able to leap past frontline units and fortifications in order to spread chaos. It ended up being tremendously effective. Our last battle armor is a bit of an odd duck because it's really a platform that the Capellans used for a wide variety of different options and weapon systems. Collectively described as the Trinity, these battle armors fit within the medium weight class, utilize mimic armor which shifts the color of the suit to match the environment around it, and while standing still, the battle armor can blend almost seamlessly into the background. The cost of the fancy armor is paid for with a lack of jump jets, oof, I know, and a top speed of 32 kilometers per hour. The variants of the Trinity can be found carrying recoilless rifles, support PPCs, rocket launchers, and even a King David light Gauss rifle, on the variant known as the Shen Long. It's a bit of a mess to sort out, but it's still worth knowing they exist in case you need to find something unique to fill out your unit. As we move through the various factions and their contributions to the pantheon of different battle armor options, it's going to be interesting to see what aspects are emphasized and what is downplayed. In the case of the Capellans and their allies in the Magistracy of Canopus, I think it's clear that speed and asymmetrical warfare are key. The Capellans have a long history of making the most out of the resources they have in the creation of their military assets, and this holds true when it comes to battle armor. That's it for our journey today. I appreciate giving it a go, and hope you enjoyed watching. If you liked what you saw, make sure you use that free action to hit the like and subscribe buttons so that YouTube knows it's worth sharing with others, and I can be delighted by seeing numbers slowly change on my screen. If you're a fan of battle armor and BattleTech fiction, I suggest giving my new Explorer Corps videos a view. There are a few designs that show up, especially in Season 2. Big thanks again to the Ko-Fi and YouTube channel members who are helping to keep the lights on. Until we meet again, take care and go make the world a slightly better place today and tomorrow.